I think this topic matters deeply because social media now shapes childhood experiences, communication habits, confidence levels, attention spans, and even emotional health from very early ages.
I agree it is important, Annie, but I believe social media can offer learning opportunities, creativity, global awareness, and digital skills if children receive proper guidance and supervision.
While opportunities exist, children often lack emotional maturity, making them vulnerable to comparison, cyberbullying, unrealistic beauty standards, misinformation, and addictive scrolling behaviors.
That vulnerability is real, but banning social media completely may isolate children socially, especially when peers communicate, collaborate, and express themselves primarily through digital platforms.
Isolation is concerning, yet constant online presence can replace real friendships, outdoor play, family conversations, reading habits, and the ability to focus deeply on tasks.
Balance is the key here because social media does not automatically replace real life. Misuse replaces it, and responsible use can actually enhance offline relationships.
Responsible use sounds ideal, but algorithms are designed to capture attention, encouraging endless consumption, which children struggle to resist due to developing self-control.
That is why parental involvement matters, including screen time limits, content filters, open discussions, shared accounts, and teaching children critical thinking skills early.
Many parents try, but not all have time, digital literacy, or consistency, leaving children exposed to harmful trends, strangers, inappropriate content, and online pressure.
True, yet the solution should improve parental education, not restrict children entirely, because digital literacy is essential for future careers, communication, and civic participation.
However, early exposure can damage self-esteem as children compare themselves with influencers, edited images, luxurious lifestyles, and unrealistic success stories.
Comparison existed before social media too, through television, magazines, and movies, but now we can actively teach children media literacy to question what they see.
The difference now is intensity and frequency because social media follows children everywhere, entering bedrooms, schools, meals, and moments meant for rest.
That constant presence can be managed with rules like device-free dinners, bedtime restrictions, and encouraging purposeful usage instead of passive scrolling.
Even with rules, peer pressure is powerful, and children fear missing out on trends, jokes, challenges, or conversations happening online.
Fear of missing out is real, but learning to manage it is a valuable life skill, and social media can be a controlled environment to practice.
Another issue is privacy, because children often share personal details unknowingly, leaving permanent digital footprints that may affect their future opportunities.
Privacy education should start early, teaching children what to share, what to keep private, and how online actions can have long-term consequences.
Education helps, but platforms themselves are not designed for children's safety, as data collection, targeted ads, and manipulative features remain common.
That criticism is valid, which is why stronger regulations, child-specific platforms, and transparent policies should complement parental guidance and education.
Mental health concerns also worry me because studies link heavy social media use with anxiety, depression, sleep problems, and reduced attention spans.
Correlation does not always mean causation, and moderate, meaningful engagement may support self-expression, belonging, and creativity rather than harming mental health.
Moderation is difficult for children because impulse control develops slowly, making them more likely to overuse, multitask, and become distracted easily.
But complete restriction may delay skill development, leaving children unprepared for digital realities they will inevitably face as teenagers and adults.
I am not suggesting lifelong restriction, but delaying access until children develop stronger emotional regulation, judgment, and understanding of online risks.
Age-appropriate access makes sense, yet defining the right age is challenging because maturity varies widely among children, even within the same family.
That is why caution should guide decisions, prioritizing well being, offline development, creativity, physical activity, and face to face social skills first.
Offline development matters greatly, but online spaces can also support learning languages, sharing art, coding, joining educational groups, and discovering interests.
Educational benefits exist, but entertainment dominates most children's feeds, reducing motivation for homework, reading, and deeper learning activities.
Parents and educators can guide algorithms by following educational pages, encouraging purposeful content, and discussing what children consume online regularly.
Another risk involves cyberbullying, which can be relentless, anonymous, and inescapable, causing emotional distress that children struggle to handle alone.
Cyberbullying is serious, yet it also creates opportunities to teach empathy, reporting mechanisms, resilience, and seeking help rather than suffering silently.
I worry that normalizing online cruelty may desensitize children, making kindness, patience, and respectful communication less common over time.
That risk exists, but positive communities also flourish online, where children learn collaboration, support, encouragement, and cross cultural understanding.
Screen addiction remains a major concern because dopamine driven design encourages frequent checking, notifications, likes, and validation seeking behavior.
Addiction risks should be addressed openly, teaching children about persuasive design, self regulation strategies, and mindful technology use from early ages.
Even so, children often imitate adults, and many parents themselves struggle with excessive phone use, sending mixed messages about healthy behavior.
That highlights the importance of role modeling because children learn more from what adults do than what they say about technology use.
When families struggle collectively, restricting children's access might temporarily protect them while adults work on improving household digital habits.
Temporary limits can help, but long term success requires education, trust, communication, and gradual independence rather than strict control alone.
I still believe childhood should focus more on imagination, exploration, boredom, and unstructured play, which social media often interrupts.
I agree childhood imagination matters, yet social media can also inspire creativity through storytelling, drawing, music, and sharing original ideas.
Creativity online sometimes becomes performance driven, chasing likes and approval instead of intrinsic joy and personal growth.
That risk exists, but children can learn to value process over praise when adults emphasize effort, learning, and authenticity rather than numbers.
Ultimately, I think the safest approach is delaying social media use, allowing limited supervised exposure, and prioritizing offline experiences.
I respect that view, Annie, and I believe guided access, education, and balanced routines can help children benefit while minimizing harm.
Before we finish, I want to stress that children deserve protection during formative years when identity, confidence, and values are still fragile and developing.
Protection is essential, yet empowerment matters too, because children who learn responsible use early may feel more confident navigating digital challenges independently later.
Independence should come gradually because sudden exposure without strong foundations can overwhelm children emotionally, socially, and cognitively.
Gradual exposure can work well, such as starting with limited platforms, clear rules, monitored interactions, and regular conversations about online experiences.
Those conversations must be honest and frequent. Otherwise, children may hide problems, fearing punishment instead of seeking guidance and support.
Absolutely. Trust based communication encourages children to report issues, ask questions, and reflect critically on what they see online.